Batman fans are currently going through a bit of a drought when it comes to new live-action movies. The Batman Part 2 was recently delayed until October 2027, meaning there will be a 5.5-year gap between the original and the sequel. Meanwhile, DC doesn't seem to be making too much progress with the Flash director Andy Muschietti's Batman, the Brave and the Bold. We can certainly respect James Gunn's mandate that DCU projects will not move forward until the scripts are ready, but that doesn't make the wait any easier.
If only you knew how long I've been waiting for this.
However, there is one piece of good news on the Batman movie front. After months of speculation that DC might opt to merge the two projects and make Pattinson's Bruce Wayne the official Batman of the DCU, Gunn has put his foot down. Pattinson will not be joining the DCU. Instead, the Brave and the Bold will introduce a brand new cinematic incarnation of the Caped Crusader.
The hell are you supposed to be?
This is definitely welcome news. As much as we love Pattinson's Dark Knight, he's not really cut out to share the screen with the likes of David Corenswet's Superman and Aaron Pierre's Green Lantern. Here's why DC fans are better off having two different Batmen on the big screen.
I'm vengeance.
As much as we all enjoyed director Matt Reeves' grungy, noir-tinged take on Batman and Gotham City, this is not a version of the Batman mythos that screams shared DC universe. Can you honestly picture this version of Batman sharing the screen with heroes like Superman and Wonder Woman, much less serving in the Justice League? Even looking solely at Batman's corner of the DCU, this is an incarnation of the character that brings with it some serious limitations. There's a reason Reeves has billed his universe the Batman epic crime saga. This is a very dark, serious, and noir-laden take on the Batman mythos. It's about as grounded a take on the franchise as you can get and still be telling a story about a billionaire who dresses up as a bat to punch criminals. That approach has certainly worked well so far, both in the Batman itself and spin-offs like the Penguin TV series and Paul Dano's The Riddler Year One comic. But it's also an approach that carries certain limitations. This Batman is married to a very specific vision of Gotham City and its criminal underworld. DC's Batman comics leave room for many different artistic interpretations and stylistic takes. Dark Batman, Camp Batman,
This may prove to be a most memorable night.
Swashbuckling Batman, Sci-Fi Batman.
The real Batman would never... Told you didn't know me.
Whereas the Batman epic crime saga is all grim and gritty all the time. It's tough to imagine even many of Batman's iconic rogues fitting into this dark, grounded universe. How do you handle villains with outlandish tech like Mr. Freeze?
Everything freezes.
What about villains with outright superpowers like Poison Ivy or Clayface? Could you picture this version of Batman ever having a sidekick like Robin or Batgirl?
This is why Superman works alone.
Barring a massive tonal shift in the Batman Part 2, these elements of the franchise are basically walled off in the Reeves universe. And everything Reeves has said about his sequel thus far suggests that it's another dark, noir-informed detective story. We're not here to argue that Reeves took the wrong approach with his vision of the franchise. That's what it is, a specific vision for Batman that hones in on certain elements of the character. But it's precisely that vision that makes Pattinson's Batman such a poor fit for Gunn's DCU. Everything we've seen of the DCU and Creature Commandos and the Superman trailers suggest it's a much brighter and more outlandish superhero universe. It's certainly a universe more reflective of DC's wider comic book tone. It doesn't seek to ground these characters in reality or downplay the more ostentatious aspects of the lore. Reeves' Batman universe isn't compatible with the DCU as we've seen it so far. It's not a place where Batman's full rogues gallery can exist. Like with Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, any villain more outlandish than Bane or Deathstroke is going to be a tough sell in this grim and gritty environment. There's a reason the Clayface movie is set in the DCU and isn't part of the Batman epic crime saga. The Reevesverse is not a place where we could realistically see Batman joining forces with Superman or enlisting in the Justice League. The idea of superhuman speedsters, Amazonian warriors, and ring-slinging space cops existing in this universe is a huge stretch. We're never going to see Pattinson's Batman recruit child sidekicks, put on a proper spandex costume, or refer to anyone as good chum. That just isn't in the cards. On some level, it might be entertaining to watch a movie that drags Pattinson's Batman kicking and screaming into the DCU, but ultimately, it would be a case of trying to hammer a square peg into a round hole. This Batman isn't a team player, meaning that we need another Batman who can be.
I haven't got time for this.
It's getting serious, Bruce.
Let's get nuts.
The DCU needs a Batman who can properly coexist alongside heroes like Corenswet's Superman. It needs a Batman who lives in Gotham City that has colorful supervillains as well as hardened killers and gangsters. It most certainly needs a Batman who can build up a full-fledged Bat family. In short, it needs a Batman more in line with the traditional comics, and one who isn't quite so mired in darkness and pathos. Most crucially, the DCU needs a Batman who embraces characters like Robin, Batgirl, and Nightwing in his life. We don't know a lot about Batman the Brave and the Bold, but we do know the film is inspired by Grant Morrison's Batman comics and deals with the father-son dynamic between Bruce and Damian Wayne. That calls for an older and relatively warmer Batman, not the young, antisocial, single-minded vigilante we saw in The Batman. It doesn't make sense to attempt The Brave and the Bold with Pattinson's Bruce Wayne in the lead. There's no foundation to build on with that version of the character. And, all things being equal, moviegoers are really due for a change with Batman's cinematic adventures. Batman films have grown progressively darker and more violent over the past several decades. Christopher Nolan was basically making James Bond movies with costume vigilantes. Zack Snyder gave us a Batman who brands criminals and drowns his sorrows in alcohol. Reeves managed to go even darker still, creating a vision of Gotham City and its protector that's downright hellish.
I told you I'd see you in hell.
At what point did we stop making live-action Batman movies for kids? For whatever flaws it may have, 1989's Batman helped cement a generation of kids as lifelong Batman lovers.
I want you to tell all your friends about me.
What are you?
I'm Batman.
Would they have felt the same way if they were 6 years old watching Batman v Superman or The Batman? One would have perplexed them and the other would have terrified them. DC has been aiming these movies squarely at adults lately. That, as much as the effects of the pandemic and the tarnishing of the DC brand thanks to the Snyderverse, may explain why they've been diminishing returns with Batman's box office hauls.
You don't understand.
They stopped targeting that crucial younger audience.
I understand.
Again, the point here isn't to criticize Reeves' handling of his Batman universe, but to argue that there needs to be room for more than one take on the Dark Knight. The DCU doesn't need Pattinson's brooding loner of a Batman. It needs a different version who suits the story being told in The Brave and the Bold, who can appeal to a wider movie-going audience. It needs a Batman who, like Corn Sweat's Superman, wears his trunks on the outside and actually cracks a smile now and then. Rather, they can coexist and offer different storytelling opportunities in their respective universes. DC has been historically reticent about allowing multiple incarnations of popular characters to exist in live action, but one would hope that after 2023's The Flash, which features no fewer than 3 versions of Batman, they've finally gotten over that misguided philosophy.
Wait, he's Batman?
In the wake of 2021's Spider-Man No Way Home, it's safe to say audiences are perfectly capable of running with the concept of a superhero multiverse. So let's establish the Batverse already.
You gonna help me?
Help you?
Yeah, I thought you were Vengeance.
Porting Pattinson's Batman over to the DCU just doesn't make sense. Better that the DCU have its own version of Batman with his own history and circle of allies and enemies. And if the end result is that we get twice as many theatrical Batman movies, then so much the better. Do you agree with DC's decision to focus on 2 different versions of Batman on the big screen? Would you have liked to see Pattinson's Batman join the DCU? Let us know what you think in the comments, and for all things DC, keep it locked to IGN.
Batmobile to airport. Red alert. Prepare Batcopter for immediate takeoff.